In a nutshell, that rock bottom looked like me living in my car, living in my minivan. Um, I was coming out of a not so great relationship, um, and I was actually running from my life. I needed to get away from that situation.
Welcome to Becoming with Angelina Watkins, where we are turning dreamers into believers and doers, sharing the stories of those who have overcome adversity, have reached a level of success, and are willing to share their blueprint with you. And so we're going to give you a new, fresh perspective on life to win at love, life, and money. And today, in this episode, I'm really excited. This is going to be good, y'all. I have Vonne Williams. Welcome, Vonne, to the show.
Thank you
How are
so much.
you?
I'm doing all right.
No,
Yep.
thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. And I can't wait to get into this conversation because who doesn't like to talk about money? I like to
Right.
talk about money, but just reading about your background, the things you've been through, I can so relate. So, this is going to be a really good conversation. I have a lot of stuff that I want to talk to you about. Hopefully, I can fit it into this time. I don't know. We might have to have you back if I don't get it all done in this hour.
That's cool. I'd be more than happy to come back.
So, we've got to start. I usually let people tell me how they grew up, but I don't even want to start right there. With you, I just want to start with 2007 because in your bio, you talk about in 2007 how you hit a little rock bottom. And I want you to tell us a little bit about your rock bottom.
Wow. So in a nutshell, that rock bottom looked like me living in my car, living in my minivan. Um, I was coming out of a not so great relationship, um, and I was actually running from my life. I needed to get away from that situation. And there was some turns in the market as well. If we remember, there was a housing crash of
Mm-hmm.
2007, 2008, and it was affecting everything. And we didn't really know how badly it was affecting everything else.
Right.
Um, so to be honest, at the time, some of my habits, some of the things that I had not put in place to take care of myself also led me to that situation. Because even when I left the relationship, you know, had I had certain things in place, I wouldn't have had to stay in my car.
Well,
So,
tell us
yeah.
about that. So, what happened? Like, okay, we have this recession that hits. It starts in 2007 because I was
Hmm.
impacted by this recession too,
Hmm.
because I was into real estate investing. And like you, I didn't really understand how bad this was getting ready to impact me in my investments, in my business, and my financial situation. I think I was very clueless. And
Hmm.
so 2008 hits and it gets even worse. And then 2009 is even worse than that. So what was going on with you? What were you doing? What was happening that this impacted you like it did?
Okay. So at the time, my partner and I had started a not for profit in 2005. All right. So
What was the non for profit?
it was an arts and education not for profit, and we provided um, vocal and instrumental instruction to New York City public schools.
Okay.
But again, it was a community organization in the beginning. I'm sorry, 2003. I apologize. So we and doing very well, but I had thrown all of myself, all of my resources, all of my finances, like everything about me into this organization. Um, and in doing so, the relationship was deteriorating as well. So by the time that, you know, 2007 rolled around, um, I personally had nothing left, nothing, no resources, no money. Um, um, I think part of my brain was missing as well. You know, I had thrown everything in and not taking care of myself, not taking care of my mental, not taking care of my finances, not taking care of my own business because I had a business on the side as well. So, we didn't have, traditional jobs. So we worked for ourselves, which is a
So
different
your
animal.
partner, when
Yes.
you say partner, we talking like partner as in intimate partner, but this partner was also a business partner?
Yes.
So you were mixing
Both.
business with pleasure.
Okay. Sure. Yes. Yeah. But here's a thing that we don't know when we're younger, or we
Mm-hmm.
don't realize when we're younger, and we beat ourselves up about it. Like, you don't know what you don't know,
Right.
and you don't know that you don't know it.
Right.
And so we do things because we think that this is the right thing to do, or this is all we know to do. So, like, let's just jump in the middle and do it, right? And a lot of the times we don't we come out, it doesn't end so well, right? It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't end up nice. It's not cute, but at the same time we learn a really good lesson, and now we know.
Mm-hmm. What was the
So
lesson you learned?
first and foremost, I get to take care of my mental, I get to take care of my finances, right?
Okay.
First and foremost, above everything else. And then I can give and give and give and give as much as I want, as long as I'm good, right?
Right.
So that's the thing that I learned. And again, I'll say, had I been taking care of all of that, even if the relationship was going to end anyway, I would not have been living in that, I would not have been in my car. I would have had the resources to at least get myself, another place to live.
So
And
tell us what that
that
means
was
when you
a
say, though, you
mhm.
said you didn't have any resources and no money and all those things. So what do you mean by when you say resources? What did you lose?
Credit was shot. Credit was shot. Had no savings, no investments, nothing to fall back on. So, even with savings, again, I could have had myself gotten myself someplace else to live. Or if I had some investments, cash in on a stock, or cash in on, sell some stock to at least get myself a roof to feed myself, like that. So those resources um, were just non-existent. Now, yes, I had resources that I could tap into. I'm a disabled veteran, so I went to the VA. Where else was I going to go? So I went to
Mm-hmm.
the VA to find out what my options were, and it helped a little bit. But at the time, it that wasn't enough either. So, there's a bunch of homeless veterans in New York City. So, the pickings were slim at the time.
So did you own the minivan right out? Because if we didn't,
I
we were tapped
I
out.
I did no, I was still making payments on that minivan.
You just
I was
had
still
enough
making
to make
payments.
those payments. So I totally feel you, but I think I was lucky. I
Hmm.
was lucky. Well, I should call it luck. I'll call it blessed
Mm.
because I was robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? Trying to
Okay.
make all of this stuff work during this recession because I was so hell bent on not losing my
Hmm.
investments that I had,
Hmm.
not ruining my credit. And I had my accountant come to me who says, I haven't seen you. You haven't come to do your taxes. And lightweight, I was hiding from him. I didn't want to see him because I didn't have the money to do my taxes. And he calls me and he, wanted to know why he hadn't seen me. And I just basically, end up telling him where I'm at, what's happening. He's like, you got to do an exit strategy. Exit strategy. What are you talking about? So basically, he wanted me to give everything up and file bankruptcy. And my heart just dropped. Like, really? You want me to give up everything, ruin my credit? I'm like in the 800s. And, I worked so hard to get these properties, but it was like the best thing that I could have ever done for myself.
Wow.
But I had a financial planner that I ended up talking to because you have to get one
Mm.
before you file bankruptcy,
Hmm.
who allowed me to who gave me the advice of doing things before my credit was ruined, so that I could
Mm,
get a place to live and live wherever I wanted to live. I could get a new car that's more affordable before I can't get a car that's affordable, and then let the other car go. So it was all in the plan. That's why I saw I was blessed to have the right people in place, so that,
mm.
because I could have been just like you,
Yeah,
living in a car, except for I
look
had
at
a
that.
baby.
Wow, wow. Okay,
So that's why I
wow.
say I can relate. I can relate.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah,
how do you pick it back up?
man. Um, in all authenticity,
Hmm.
at the time, I didn't want to pick it back up. I didn't. I prayed that God would take me out because it was cold. It was cold in New York City. It was in
Hmm.
January, so it's not warm here in January. And so, oh yeah, and the heat didn't work that good in that minivan either. So I prayed. I'm like, I don't have nothing. I don't have nowhere to go. I can't get my head. I can't, like, my head was really bad. Like, this is a good time to just take me out. I don't want to be here no more. I don't like this.
Where's your
Um,
family?
in North Carolina.
Okay. So your family, you're from originally from North Carolina, and you're just living in New York now?
Yes, I've been in New York
Okay.
my whole adult life. Um, so yeah, and
What
and
brought you to New York?
I came to New York City to be the next Quincy Jones. Yep, yep. And that's my that so yeah, I moved to New York City to be a sound engineer. And I did that for quite a while. I worked with some really good people. I worked with Al B. Shore. I did a little, and this was in the mid 90s, so let me give some context. Did some work with Notorious B.I.G. and Puffy and that whole crew. But the studio kind of drove me crazy. I'm like, I don't really like this too much. So I got into live sound. And I did, concerts and shows, which was fun. That was fun for me. Now, how I got into finances and taxes and this sort of thing is because my body started breaking down. Because it's a really hard life. Like, being a roadie is a
Hmm.
hard life. And swinging from the rafters and running cable and hauling speakers and this sort of thing. Actually, it started to wear on me quite a bit. And I was finding myself not recovering so well. So and it's interesting that this started happening around 2006, 2007. So listen. But sound is my passion. That's like my favorite thing. I still do that at my church and other places whenever I can. Um, so here I am in this minivan. I do have a skill, but it's not the best in the world. Um, but I God did not honor my wish. I'm still here,
Of
and
course not.
listen,
Like,
right? And
look, I got work for you to do. What are you talking about?
something like that. So as time went on, and I was having time, by myself, to kind of get myself together, and going to the VA and this sort of thing. I found myself just talking to people about money and my situation. And here's the thing, like, I did the finances for the not-for-profit. So I knew
Okay.
what checks and balances were. I knew what
Uh-huh.
income and expenses were. I knew how to balance budgets. I knew how to do that.
That's
Now, I didn't do
crazy.
it for myself, but as I was talking to, other veterans and other people I would come in contact with, and I'm like, hey, I kind of get this. I think I understand.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. So, I didn't have nothing else to do. So I was just talking about this day, all day, most days, all day long. And so, um, yeah, that's kind of how I got into being a coach, a money coach. Kind of it was kind of a happy accident, I guess. Um, and actually, the fall of 2009, my mom said, "Hey, why don't you go take the H&R Block tax class. Just go take it. I'll pay for it. At least you can do something in the spring. If you're not
Mm-hmm.
gonna, if you're not gonna, continue to do audio visual and this sort of thing. And so I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I ain't got nothing better to do. Really got into it. Really, really, really got into it. And as time evolves or whatever, I've kind of really gotten into this tax thing. And now I teach business owners how to take advantage of the tax code. And I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute. So, yeah.
We can get into that now. Come on, tell us, because tax season is right around the corner. It's right around the corner,
Yep.
right? It's that end of the year. Folks
Mm-hmm.
is getting ready to spend up that money on Christmas, and then they're gonna be looking and trying to get that money back through them taxes. So, what do we really need to know about taxes?
Well, first and foremost, you just mentioned something about a refund and trying to recoup the money from Christmas and the holidays, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a refund, friends, is an illusion. Hear me. A refund is an illusion. You go to your job, you pay taxes into your governments, city, state, federal, right? You pay into your governments. They take that money, they pay the politicians, the garbage collectors, the policemen, they put it into the global economy, okay? They loan that money to other countries, okay? They get it back in interest. And then when you file your taxes, they give you back what they want you to have according to their math. The math gives you credit, deductions. They may give everybody a blanket credit across the board, and then you get back what they want you to have. Case in point, you make $100,000. You're probably going to pay something like $11,000 or $12,000 in federal taxes. You're single, no dependents. When you get your refund, it will say you'll get $1,600. You might even owe, because that's the way the math works. You're single, you don't have any dependents, you don't have any deductions like a mortgage or charitable giving. We'll just use that one because it's easy. So they're going to give you back what they want you to have. $1,600 on the $12,000 that you paid into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or that you paid for federal taxes. So that's why I say it's an illusion. People with dependents get more money back, yes, because they have dependents and that's the way the math works. But I say that if you're if you're in a higher tax bracket and you feeling robbed by the governments, then you get to do things that are going to lower your tax liability, like a mortgage, like charitable giving, like business expenses, like property taxes. You'll get those, right? Now, if you have a side hustle, now we can write off pretty much everything. Now, I say that very loosely, but you get some different deductions when you have a business. And here's where I come in, and this is where I love talking about taxes. When you have a business, the law is that if you have a business, there's around 400 or so different deductions that you can take. It says business. It does not differentiate between C corps, between S corps, between self-employed, side hustles, independent contractors. If you're an independent contractor, the government looks at you like a small business. Take advantage of the 400 credits that you can take if you can take them.
Okay, let's back up. Let's
Yep.
come back to, because you done talked about three different levels here.
Yeah.
So I want to back up a little bit because, okay, so you got the single person, and I've been the
Mm-hmm.
single person
Mm-hmm.
that didn't have no deductions, and they're taking the max that they can take from me. Then I have a child, so that
Mm-hmm.
helps a little bit, and I have a home, and that helps a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. And then I don't have a home, right? Because the recession hit. So, but
Mm-hmm.
so here I am. What can I do? Because I personally when I would file those forms at your job, what are they? The W
The
nines or
W-4.
the W
W-4.
four?
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted them to take taxes because I didn't want to have to pay, but I
Right.
didn't want them to take too much. I was okay with maybe getting a smaller refund.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so that was cool. Me and my daughter making this money, I get back a refund. It's cool. It's not like a whole lot of money, but at least I don't owe. My whole thing was to just not owe. I didn't want to.
Right.
I wasn't that good at saving.
Okay. Understood.
Okay.
Understood.
And so I didn't want to owe. Then I got married.
Okay.
I didn't change my deductions at work.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't change his deductions at work. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking I should still be cool because I'm always getting money back. And we go to file our taxes and we owe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if a family and dependence and all of that is supposed to be afford you, and I had a house, afford you to have more deductions, at this point, I'm not couldn't figure out how to not owe. Because then I'm like, okay, let me lower it some more. Because they said what happens is, and you tell me is this true?
Mm-hmm.
When you have a family, they take out less so that you have more in your check to be able to take care of your family.
Right.
But it's like you're penalized at the end of the year because they didn't take out enough.
Only if you don't file jointly. Were you filing jointly?
We were.
And where was your tax bracket?
I don't know. You mean like is it 10%,
Yeah.
15%?
So because it also depends on how much where your income is, and depends on what tax bracket you're in. In other words, a family of four with a combined income of $50,000 will probably get a bigger refund. The same family with a combined income of $250,000 might owe. Same circumstance, same mortgage interest, same two children, same,
Yeah.
same house. If you're in another tax bracket, you're going to owe more in taxes. And that is where your tax advisor comes in and says, "Hey, you guys are combined, making upwards of $250,000. That's $250,000. We might need to look at some different kinds of deductions for you guys." Um, and so, and you don't know that until it happens,
Mm-hmm.
but it depends. Now, your income might have been $50,000 and his income might have been $50,000. So now your combined income tax bracket is $100,000. Same deductions, same two children, same circumstance. Um, but if you're in another tax bracket, the math changes. Am I making sense?
You're making sense to me. Hopefully, you're making sense to them. But I
Uh-huh.
have to say, because I kind of know
Uh-huh.
some of this and I'm a
Yep.
math person, it makes sense to me. So hopefully it makes sense to them. But yes, you
Yes.
can, same scenario, but depending on your tax bracket, it's going to impact how much they're taking or how much you owe. Because it seemed like year after year we were owing. And I'm like, dang, how many times do I have to change these deductions at work
Mm-hmm.
to not owe? And it wasn't until I started my business that things started to change around for me. So before we talk about that, because I told you we're going to come to that, that's three different levels. But I
Yep.
want to talk about how the tax law changed, because the tax law, you don't get to deduct for, you don't have a deduction for dependents anymore. And with the new tax law, it's that standard for my family is better off than me itemizing. I used to itemize. Now I don't even itemize because it's just not enough. And sometimes it's like for me, because of who, because of how I do my money,
Mm-hmm.
I try to keep stuff low so I don't have a lot of interest to write off,
Okay.
because the way I bought my home and my interest rate and all of that kind of stuff. And,
Mm-hmm.
so now I have these deductions and they aren't more than that standard. But
Right.
then now you don't get the children. And so, and of course, this is before I start the business. We owed. And I'm like, this
What
didn't help.
What do you mean you didn't get the children? Children always have deductions. When they get older, it changes.
So on the new form, there used to be where you get money deduction for your dependents, like you and your dependents, and
Mm-hmm.
then you had a standard deduction. Now when
Mm-hmm.
we do the tax forms, you don't have the um, deduction for dependents, you and your dependents. Remember, like it used to be like every year it would go up, but let's just say I'm gonna make up a number that for every dependent, including yourself, you got a $3,000 that you get to deduct.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the standard deduction. You're talking
And
about the
when
standard
they
deduction,
and when
right?
they eliminated that,
Mm-hmm.
we had to start owing because now we only have that big family standard
Right,
deduction and
right.
not that additional money.
Right.
And
So yeah, they raised the standard deduction so that a family with dependents, the standard deduction is $25,000. So you get the standard deduction at $25,000, but now anything else. So if your mortgage interest is not more than $25,000, it doesn't count. If your giving is not more than $25,000, it doesn't count. If you're giving your mortgage interest, your property taxes, your medical expenses, some of your work expenses, your union dues, this sort of thing, if all that stuff combined does not equal up to $25,000, then yeah, it's kind of for naught. And they did that, excuse me, they did that because people were um, having large itemized deductions, which was giving back more in refunds. That's why I say a refund is an illusion. They changed the tax law, the refunds go away.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So you said you started a business. Now this is when it gets better
Okay.
because with the business, it's two different things. So and I'll just use real estate because that's what you're up to, right? So if you worked for a realtor, a broker, you work for
A
Remax,
broker? Uh-huh.
yeah, a broker, and they give you a W-2, like taking um, your cell phone, you're traveling, it's the same work. You don't get to deduct all of that from your W-2, but now you're an investor, you have your own properties, you flip, you got your own real estate thing going on the side. Now that goes on your self-employment or your profit and loss from business statement. And now all of that stuff that you used to be able to write off, you can write that off, your cell phone, your gas, because you're doing the same work. You're still going to properties and checking them out. You're still going to meet with clients. You're using your cell phone primarily for business. Yeah, you call your mom on occasion, but mostly you're talking business on your cell phone.
Right.
So
So do
now
you
you get to
suggest people have two then, a personal and a business, or just have the one and write it off on your business?
cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
The law states that, and I got to quote the law. The law states that technically, yes, you should have two cell phones or two modes of communication. If it is mutually and exclusively for business, then you can write that off. However, somebody who's self-employed and say has a 1099, right? They can't, and they're making maybe $30,000 a year. They can't afford another cell phone. So that's where the tax advisor comes in, does the math. Like, honestly, how much of this cell phone do you use for business? And most people use it about 75% for business. The emails on there, the social media is on there, they're texting, they're calling. Hardly ever is it for, personal use. If you're a business owner, you're a small business, you're an independent contractor, and this is all that you do, our life, for all intents and purposes, is right on our cell phone. The whole thing. We
Mm-hmm.
do our accounting on the cell phone. We do all of our advertising. Everything comes on the cell phone. So, for me, a safe way to keep that going is about 50% of your cell phone bill, 75% of your cell phone bill. There's also your home office. There's internet, all
I
of
was just
that.
going to ask
So
you about that. Can we internet?
yeah,
Like that's a difficult one for me because I work from home for my job, but then I have my business, and so a lot of my work is on the internet. Do I watch TV? Of course I do. Do I, watch on demand stuff through
yep,
Roku that requires the internet? Of course I do.
yep,
But how then does a person determine how much of this internet I'm paying for is for work versus just because we have it, because
right.
that's the norm?
So in your case, my question as your tax advisor would be, so is this only one internet for you and everybody else in the house, or do you have two separate bills?
One bill.
One bill, and there's other people in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Are they home during the day?
My husband is now. I
Okay,
used
but
to be home during the day by myself,
okay,
but his job has him working from home now.
okay. So yeah, I would say I would take at least 50% of that internet bill as well.
Cool. Cool. Now, you're a
Hmm.
tax accountant,
Yes.
but I know we didn't even talk about your when you were growing up and how your life was. We're gonna get back to some of this. But
All good.
you're an investor.
I am.
I heard you mention when you lost everything in 2007 and you were living in your home that you said you didn't sell your investments, that you could have sold for some money.
I didn't have any investments.
What did you said? Did you say you
So I
didn't sell
said
some
if
stocks?
I don't say I said if I
Oh,
had had some
if
investments,
okay.
I could have sold, some stock to, bring myself some money. But I
But
didn't
now
I
you're
didn't have.
into that, right?
Oh yeah.
Tell us about that. Is
So
that part of your coaching?
yes, it is. It
All
is
right.
part of my coaching.
Talk to
Um
us about that.
so so the people that I do talk to, most people go, "Oh, stock market. No, I would never." And plus, I don't have $3,000 to buy one stock or one share of Amazon. So, now Stash and Robinhood and all those, apps where you can buy partial shares of stock, they get a bad rap. But for me personally, that's a great place to start because all you need is $5. And you can take your $5 and invest in Amazon and invest in, these other companies that we already know are not going out of business. And it's going to bring you back a bigger return than if you was to set your $5 in, your savings account. Right now, should you have a savings account? Yeah, for emergencies, yeah, sure. But I say, not like I'm right, but this is, if people come to me and they pay me for coaching, this is what I'm going to tell them. Um, that take this, if you're a saver, one who takes, a portion of their paychecks or a portion of their increase and put it to the side in a savings account, then that's cool. But my offer is that you would, take some of that and put it in the stock market. It's going to bring you back a bigger return than that 0.00001% on your savings account. It's costing people to have a savings account than it is, then it's growing. It's not growing. It's just sitting there. So
Right.
put it out into the into the economy. And, again, apps like Stash and Robinhood will send you little tidbits here and there. Take you about 2 minutes to read so that we can start to get an understanding of how this thing works. And so when you do get your $3,000 and you want to buy one whole stock of Amazon, you can do that and do it intelligently because now you like tracking this thing for some while, right? And then I think that it's cool because it allows um, the rest of us to get in on the game. Okay. I also like to um, have people invest in REITs or real estate investment trusts, right? So I don't have $10,000 to flip. Okay, cool. But how much money you got? You got $200 that you can put into, a real estate investment trust on this same Robinhood platform that you've been using to invest in Apple and, Amazon or whatever. Yeah, I got that. All right, cool. So here's a way for you to get in on the game. Or let's do some research and let's find a real estate investment trust or a developer that's taking on investors let's put your $1,000 into it and see what you can draw from it. So, you know, my point is for us to open up our mind to investing in a way that we haven't in the past, right? The stock market crashes. Everything crashes. What goes up must come down. Everything crashes at some point. The housing market crashed at some point. It's going to do something else here. It might not crash, but it's going to do something else. There's a
I
bubble.
believe so too.
Yeah, there's a bubble right now. So,
Yeah.
we
We
get to
got to
watch
understand
these
the
things.
cycles. We got to
Absolutely.
understand the cycles. And a lot of people don't understand the cycle.
Right. And that's my whole point. And I don't care if we never get it. There's some risk involved in everything. That savings account is risky. Why? Because they charge you $5 every month still. And they still don't give you,
And you earn 20 cents.
if that, and so that's where I just try to help people like open up their mind. Like, let's do something different than sliding the money under the mattress or sitting it in a savings account. Like it's okay if you want to invest in your cousin Bubba's t-shirt business. Just make sure that you have what you need back from him. I do that all the time. So, and that's where I like to call myself an investor or a venture capitalist, because I get a lot of small businesses come to me, and it's like, I need money. I don't know where to get it from. Well, how much do you need? If they tell me, if I have it, I'm like, all right, cool. I'll tell you what, I'll invest in your business. And of course, there's tons of paperwork, but this is what I need from you. Boom, 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 boom.
So you're
And
like a Shark Tank.
yeah, yeah, I am. But the point is that I want to help small businesses get started and stay in business, and then learn how this thing works so that they can become investors as well.
So
Right?
have you ever had someone come to you and you just like this, you're not, I'm not going to invest. This is not good. You're just not even running things right. Have you come across someone like that? And then if you have, do you help them, coach them into how to get their business aligned? Are
Oh,
you like,
absolutely.
you seen that show, The Prophet? Have
Hmm.
you ever seen that show
I
where
have
the
not
guy
watched
comes
it, but
into,
I'm familiar.
oh, I love it. He comes into your business because something's going wrong, you need help. But if he invests in your business, you've got to listen to what he's telling you to do in order to revamp it and get it together so that you're making money hand over fist.
Understood. So yeah, absolutely. I have had people come to me with business ideas or whatever, and I don't shoot people's ideas down, because I believe that if they got the idea downloaded into them, then it's for them to carry it out.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm clear that everybody is not ready. And so, yes, I will coach them to be ready. Um, and I will say that a lot of people give up, which is sad. But I understand that also, being a business owner, I ask myself every single day, what am I really doing here? What this is bananas. I should just stop. But I can't stop. But we ask ourselves that a lot. We go through it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So
Mhm.
I want to ask you, how did you get into this? Why do you do what you do? How did you get into investing and wanting to coach people on how to invest?
Well, I never set out to be an investor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it bothers me when we start businesses and don't carry them out, or we have to go out of business. And that just, I can't begin to tell you how that breaks my heart. And a lot of the times it's something simple like accounting. They didn't know that if they have too many widgets in their inventory and they're not making any money on these widgets, that's where your business is hemorrhaging. And so if I can get to these people who want to start businesses and lay a good foundation, that we don't have to then have this big, beautiful house and then all of a sudden figure out, there's no foundation, and then try to slide the foundation up underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in the middle. That kind of doesn't work. So if I can teach some fundamentals, a lot of people don't know that in order to get a business bank account, you got to have an EIN. You don't have an EIN, no business bank account. And they're like, well, what's an EIN? Oh boy. Like, okay, well, I want to start an LLC. How do I do that? Not understanding that an LLC is still you. It's still
Mm-hmm.
you. It goes on your personal tax return. So if people don't really understand this and things like this is where they go wrong. This is where they find themselves caught out there. Like, being in business is more than having a website and a fly logo. I can't, I can't. Oh, I
Where
got
do
my
we get
website
this from? Where do we learn this from? That, I mean, because honestly, that's the reality of most people who start a business. It's, I got a business name, I got my incorporation papers, and it's like, I'm in business now. I have a business, and or I get this logo, I get this website, and we think that we're in business. I mean, where do we get that? Where do we get that from?
misinformation. Misinformation. It's what we see, because when we look up businesses, we go to their website,
True. Uh-huh.
or we go to their Instagram. We don't understand that, yes, you got to get your incorporation papers. Yes, you got to file these things with your federal and state governments. Or you got to register your business. You can't just be in business because you got to fly a logo, right? And again, that's where my courses come in. Like, and we don't start there. We start with, who are you,
Okay.
and what is your vision for this, and what is your mission for this particular product and service, and who are you going to help, right? Because if we don't understand that, we don't have any direction. Okay, now we're going to talk about entity creation, and now we're going to get you an EIN, and now we're going to get you a business bank account, and now we're going to set you up in an accounting system where you can tell if you're being profitable or not. And once you're being profitable and you've been in business for, a few years, like, the next right move is investing. This is the cash flow quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So
you
you work
become
with a lot of startup companies then, from conception,
from
and you help
conception.
them and build it. I
Yep.
like that.
Yep. And not for profits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said you have more than one course? Because
I
I heard
have,
you said courses.
yeah. So I have a 87-day MBA. And why 87 days? 87 days is a combination: 21 days to break a habit, 66 or so more days to create a new one. And we also, as business owners, get to put in practice, or we won't be in business very long, or we'll be stressed out. So, and I have, I call it the success code, and I'll share it. I don't have anything to hide. But, and for me, and this is just from what I've read from other people, right? Other
Mm-hmm.
successful people that I look up to. What do they do? Most of them get up, utter a word of thanks, pray, meditate, exercise, keep themselves cut off from the rest of the planet until they get themselves grounded, right? And then they go into doing their work. And then they stop at a certain point. And that's it. I'm not, you got to wait for tomorrow. I'm still working on that one. But and then there's time for themselves and for their family and their friends, and they give back to their communities. So that's where that comes in. So if we do that for 90 days, 87 days, it becomes a habit. So on the 87th day or the 88th day, when we don't meet anymore, if you decide that you're not going to get up and do your routine, you're going to feel it during the day. It's like, okay, let me get back on my thing. You understand? So, but again, we get to be in a certain mindset in order to continue to do business. It's an absolute must. It'll also keep us from stressing. We
So
have
I've
enough
got to ask
stressors.
you though,
Absolutely.
because I'm stuck on the 66 days.
I read it somewhere. I don't know if it's
Okay.
scientifically proven. I read it somewhere in Forbes magazine or something like that. I don't know. But the 21 days to break a habit, why are you in rehab for 21 days?
Well, that's a whole nother story because I have, in my coaching, said the 21 days. And then I be saying to myself, I be need more than 20 more days to break a habit because I've gotten to a point where when I first started getting into the social media thing and they're like, you got to post every day and you got to do a video every day and you got to send an email every day. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this every day. And I did it for 30 days. And then I did it for maybe a little bit longer and I got burnt out. And it was just that easy to be like, I'm burnt out, I'm stressed, and I can't
Yep.
keep up with this. And
Yep.
so it's like, how did I do this for 30 days, but I can't continue on this pattern, or it just becomes something that I can't sustain? How can I sustain it for 30 days and then it just not be something I can continue to sustain? So I've always really wondered, how long does it really take to make something a new routine that is something that you don't have to think about? It's just a part of who you are in your day. I
Right.
don't think I've reached that point yet.
Ah.
Because
Well,
there's still those days I got to force myself.
of
I got to
course.
make myself. I got to be intentional about doing some things.
Of course. Of course. Because we do get burned out, but that's where, stop work. Stop. Stop working. That's where the cutoff helps. And also, since you're talking about social media, I also teach, just because I said that this is the way that this should go down, you can change it to fit whatever works for you. When I work out for about an hour and a half. It might not take that for you. 20 minutes might be good. But as
Mm-hmm.
long as for and it's, again, and this is my opinion, it's a Vonism, not like I'm right. Some sort of physical something, yoga, walk for 20 minutes, lift weights for 20 minutes, stretch for 20 minutes, something physical will help you relieve your stress during the day. I personally like to work out, first thing in the morning. Some people like to work out at night. If I work out at night, I'm not going to sleep. So, I encourage people to set their own routine. The point is, get something get something in your life that's a routine, that's going to support you on your journey. Like you said, you get burned out. Yes, we get burned out, of course we do. And social media posting every day, like, that's a daunting task for those of us who can't do it. I get
Mm-hmm.
somebody else to do it. We stop one day every week for a couple of hours, and this is part of the routine, to get my social media squared away for the whole week. And on Saturday and Monday, I do a live. So that's Facebook and Instagram, right? So that squares that away, right? But I got to do a little write up for it, right? And then on Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there's a post for each day, or a reel for each day.
Mm-hmm.
We stop, we do it, it's done. I don't have to think about it anymore. Somebody else is doing it. And if you got to pay somebody to do that, cool. And if you can't post every day, please take that pressure off yourself. Post as many days as you can reasonably without killing yourself. If it's 3 days a week, stay consistent for those 3 days a week. If it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Take the pressure off yourself. Every day is a lot for somebody who doesn't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And after a while, I couldn't do it. And it was horrible. You know, First couple of days, you're good. And then after a while, you'll be like, what is that trash that I put out? Because your head's not in it. You're like, yo, this is pressure.
Yeah, there's been some days I'm like, yeah, I just probably shouldn't have did that reel, but I just was like, I gotta put out a reel, so I'm just gonna. It is what it is. Oh well.
And that's cool. It is what it is. You did it. You did it because the consistency um, means something.
It does.
And you did it. It was trash. It's okay. You did it.
So why entrepreneurs? I know you said you kind of just fell into this, but you could have. I mean, there's so many things that you could have did in the business arena, but why startup entrepreneurs? Why from conception? What does that do for you?
Because entrepreneurs solve the world's problems.
Ah, okay.
We solve the world's problems. We get an idea, it is going to solve a problem on the planet somewhere, be it in the community, be it globally. We solve the world's problems. So they get to be solved by the person who came up with the idea or who God gave the idea to. So how can I support that? How can I nurture that? I know accounting and I know taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I understand what it takes to be in business. I've been in business for 18 years. Okay. I have been in the tax business for 8 years. All right. I have a lot of wins and lessons. So entrepreneurs speak a language that nobody else can kind of understand. Everybody else thinks we're crazy. Everybody doesn't understand why we're doing what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. That's okay. Come here. Let me help you. This is your soft place to fall. This is where you get to lean back. Okay. Get in a room with other entrepreneurs, right? And like, let's figure this thing out. Let me help you lay your foundation so that you're not coming to me once the house is built and you want me to help you slide the foundation under the house. It happens so often. Let's head this thing off now. Yeah.
So it takes a while to take a idea from conception, build it,
Mm-hmm.
grow it,
Mm-hmm.
scale it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you only help with the conception? How far along do you take them in their business idea? I mean,
I take
what are we
them.
doing in these 87 days?
Well, 87 days is not really a long time.
Mm.
Okay. So I that's the foundation. That's the foundation. So the next step, yes, is to get the business off the ground, get it conceptualized, get it scaled, right? It depends on what business they're in. Okay. Um, if they're in a catering business, I can take them so far. I can't cook the food for them. I can tell them whether it tastes bad to me, but that's as far as I can go. So in their business itself, I partner them up with other people that I know,
Oh, okay.
other business owners that I know. I have a client right now, as a matter of fact. His dream is so incredibly huge. He wants to like build green buildings here in New York City for low income and like partner with the city and the state to do that. And there's incentives for that. I can only get him so far. So I partnered him with a developer at WeWork where I have my office. I partnered him with him, and he's going to shadow this guy while this guy is building, he's building buildings all over Harlem, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not necessarily green, but what my client wants to do is green buildings and sustainable and all of this. But he's gotta understand how this New York City and New York State machine works as well. I can't teach him that. So I partnered him with with a developer who can teach him how how it works. He can teach him the politics, right? Because I don't know it. Now, is he going to continue to come to me for his accounting and his taxation? Absolutely. Absolutely. But but the actual business itself, like I got 300 clients. Somebody can help, can help the new students, especially if they came through my course before. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
So what is one of the biggest mistakes that you see beginner entrepreneurs make that you said, I got to make sure that I address this so that I can, because you said you're here to solve problems, right? You saw a
Hmm.
problem, you saw a mistake they're making. What is that biggest mistake that they were making that you wanted to make sure that you solve when you work with them?
The biggest mistake is They get a logo and a website and they think that they have a business. That's like, no, no, no. Did you
So
yeah, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, so then my question is, well, did you file paperwork with the county? No, I didn't do that. Okay, well, did you go through, some entity to file your paperwork with the states or anything like that? No, I didn't do that. Okay. Okay, let's pull this back. You hold on to your logo and your website. Let's get your entity created, right? Let's get your let's get your mission and your vision. You don't have to write a whole business plan, but you got to know why you're doing what you're doing, not just to, yeah, we want to make money. Absolutely. Absolutely. But like, what problem are you solving if you're solving a problem? Who is your target audience? Who are you selling to? Um, um, and again, what is the vision here? What do you see happening like later on? Is this some temporary thing? Catering is not an easy business.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using catering because I got a lot of caterers, a lot of people who cook, but what makes you different? I can go down to the corner and eat. What makes you different? Well, I don't know. Okay, cool. Then let's talk about that, because you're going to need that when it comes time for marketing. Who is your target client? My target client is entrepreneurs. Will I help single mothers with, autistic children? Absolutely. Absolutely. But my target audience is entrepreneurs. So, and again, they don't get that. They get an idea and they run with it. And then they wonder why it's not, why it's crumbling, because it's on shaky ground. It's on shaky foundation.
So is the
Make sense?
shaky foundation? It does. So is the shaky foundation part of them not really totally knowing why they're doing this and what they're trying to do? They've got this idea, but they don't really know like who I want to work with. I'm solving something, but they haven't totally conceptualized it. Um,
Well, yeah,
as to
because
their purpose and their mission of it all,
right. Well, yeah.
outside of just I'm selling this product, but what is your mission? Why are you selling this product? What made you decide that you should sell this product? And it kind of made me want to go back to um, a conversation, and I know we're kind of running out of time, but when you were talking about when you had your um, financial ruin, you're living in your car, and you said you start doing some personal development, right?
Yes.
Of getting
Yes.
to know yourself. So how many of these folks are coming to you and they haven't put in that work to really get to know themselves? And how does that impact them as an entrepreneur, not really knowing who they are?
Hmm. Well, it impacts them when they find out why they do certain things. Oh, it's because you're a Gemini. No, not necessarily. You know, or I procrastinate. Well, maybe you do and maybe you don't. Maybe it's not procrastination. Maybe you just have a pace that you go at that's only yours, right? Well, I'm, I can't concentrate, but I'm the life of the party. I got this thing going on. Okay, cool. Doesn't mean that you can't concentrate. It just means that your focus is a little different, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might be just a high-spirited person. So when we find out why we, or how, if you will, then we can say, okay, cool. I know that I'm introverted, that I'm a little bit more laid back, so that I might need to get somebody to help me be out in public
Mm-hmm.
or go to networking events. As opposed to me going to these networking events, hanging out on the side, not saying nothing to nobody. I got a pocket full of business cards, but I didn't talk. And then when I leave, I'm frustrated because I wasted my time. Maybe you need to take the life of the party with you to the networking event so that you can, so that they can start conversations for you. And once they start the conversation for you, then you can jump in and talk about, you know, and I'm just speaking from experience, I'm a wallflower. I know you can't tell, but I'm extremely introverted. The big crowds make me nervous unless I'm comfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm comfortable in a situation, good, no problem, right? Can be in a room full of strangers, no problem.
I call that the introverted extrovert. Like
I'm,
we're introverted, but if you put us in the right room with the right people,
yep,
they'll see that personality, they'll see those jokes,
yep,
they'll see things that no one else gets to see, right?
absolutely. So yes, I'm an introverted extrovert. But yeah, and then again, if you know, when we get our ideas and we get it moving, we are very excited and we want to help or sell to everybody. But everybody's not going to feel us. Everybody's not going to like your candle. But, um, again, single mothers might really dig your candle, right? But single fathers think it stinks, right? So that's when we get into like us,
Mm-hmm.
who we're planning to sell to. Because again, we cannot, and it's impossible, humanly impossible, for us to serve everybody. All right,
But do
that's
they come in thinking they can serve
oh
everybody?
yeah,
Of course,
yeah.
I did it too. I did it.
All right, which also led to some of my demise, my financial
Mm-hmm.
ruin, thinking that I could help everybody. We can't. We can't. It's humanly impossible. Even
Right.
those of us who think we're like Superman, Superwoman can't do it. Sorry.
That's why I like to say, when people want to start a business, and I think about my daughter when we were talking about her maybe starting a business,
Hmm.
and she was like, "Well, there's already people doing that," and I'm like, "So it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. You can do it too. There's still a market because everybody's not going to buy from that person. Some people are
Exactly.
going to come and they're going to buy for you. So it
Exactly.
doesn't matter." That I said, "Do you see how many cosmetic lines there
Hmm.
are out here, and people still continue to make them? Why? Because they speak to a certain person, to a certain audience, and everybody's not buying Mac, and
Right.
everybody's not buying Rihanna's line.
Right.
Somebody's buying some Mary Kay, right? So you
Hmm.
just never count yourself out that there's not a market for you or that people aren't going to buy from you."
Exactly. And that's a story that we tell ourselves when we don't know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we do that. Probably 30 days, we talk about who we are, what we're thrown to, and what are our superpowers and what's our kryptonite. We talk about that a lot because we got to be in tune with how we react to certain things as well. And yeah, I hear your daughter, bless her heart, and we all go through it. Listen, there's a million there. You can pick a financial coach, you can pick a business coach, you can go to H&R Block if you want to, right? But nobody delivers this the way that I do.
That's what
and
I'm saying.
and I have an
Okay.
audience. There are people that are looking for me. They just haven't found me yet. There's also business owners that need people like me, but they don't know it yet.
Yeah. So
So,
tell the people,
hey,
where
I'm
can
here
they
for you.
find you?
They can find me on Instagram, Vonne Williams _ don't die broke. All right. There's a flow page. Click on the flow page. Set up a 15-minute consultation. Is absolutely free. On my website, VonneWilliams.com. And people can shoot me an email, info@VonneWilliams.com, if you have questions. If you're a startup, you have an idea, we can absolutely talk about it. I love connecting with people, especially new entrepreneurs. They're just so excited, and the energy is so amazing. And then they after they get off the phone with me, they feel a little discouraged, but I do encourage them to like hang around. Just I hear you want to get to your product or your service, but there's some things that you got to do to keep you in compliance, to keep you out of trouble, and you want your business to grow. Now, if this is a fly by night thing that you want to do for one season, knock yourself out, do it. You don't have to set up no business entity. Nobody has to know that you're doing it. As long as you're making money, you get what you need. Cool, you can roll out. But if this is something that you want to last or even outlive you, we gotta build a good foundation.
Is that where the don't die broke comes in? Building
Don't
something that outlives you?
Wow, that's exactly right. And another thing that burns me, just indulge me one more minute,
Go, no, go right ahead.
is that the GoFundMe and selling fish dinners down at the church to try to, get people in the ground. Listen, if you don't have a business, get yourself some life insurance. And if you're not going to get no life insurance and you don't want to leave anybody anything, no judgments here, that is your business. But get a burial plan.
Oh my God,
Get
yes.
something in place, or put it in your savings account and say, hey, this is my burial money over here. When I die, one of y'all go get it. And so we can go out with some dignity. And I write the checks down at the church. So I understand, like, when people come after the funeral, like, well, we got through this part, but we can't put them in the ground. You want to hear me cuss in the church? That's a good way to do it. Oh my God. Because I'm there. Like, I'm here. There's no excuse for this. I talk about this all the time. Okay, let me calm down. So like let's
They ain't listening.
listen, let's just, like, be responsible. When we pass, our family is already going through enough.
Right.
Like, let's not set them up to fail and embarrass yourself and them. Well, we don't embarrass, we're gone, don't matter. But let's not embarrass them by having to set up a GoFundMe when you could have very easily set aside $5,000-$8,000 somewhere. Get a burial plan that you pay, $20 into a month. Something as cheap as what your cell phone costs you. You can get some life insurance. So again, we can
Cheaper
go out
than
with
the
some
cell phone.
listen. So
I remember
again,
my first insurance policy. It was a term policy. I want to say it was a 10-year policy. And I was in my mid-20s. It
yep.
was $9 a month.
See what I mean?
$9 a month. And if I paid for the whole year, I think it was like 109.
Yeah. See, that's really, like, no excuse. It's no excuse. And so that's where don't die broke comes in. Because we get to, like, set up the next generation, whatever that looks like, to be better than generations before. And the ultimate goal is to leave the planet better than we found it, or better than it was when we showed up, which is another reason why I like to interact with entrepreneurs, even if they're just, a t-shirt. Remember that big smiley face, the t-shirt smiley face from the
Yes.
70s? Like that. I don't know. For some odd reason, every time I see somebody with one on, it just brings me some sort of joy. Simple t-shirt with a big yellow emoji on it. Really? Yeah, it does. So no idea is bad. It's just how we gonna
How you gonna
direct it.
approach it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we didn't even get to talk about what it was like growing up, Vonne. However, I still want you to answer my question that I ask everyone.
Okay.
What would Vonne today
Mm.
tell Vonne what would Vonne today learn that she holds on to that you would want to tell Vonne at 16?
At 16. Okay, meathead, listen. Listen. And I say meathead because I was a jock. I played basketball and all of that. So just listen. Listen. Open your mind, open your heart, and listen. You don't know everything. Listen.
I have to say that. I have to do that. I know the audio, they can't see me lifting my hands, but
Yeah.
we think we know everything. We do. That's good advice.
Yeah. I would just really beg myself to listen.
What did you not
Hard-headed.
listen to? What was you
I didn't listen to
hard-headed about?
anything. Nothing. Nothing. I had several basketball scholarships. Didn't take one of them. If I had known where I was going to end up, I would just taken one of them because it didn't matter. Majored in business and called it. I went and majored in engineering. As technology goes on and the technology kept changing, I couldn't keep up with it. I don't do any of that anymore. No electrical anything. But and my father, who didn't really talk too much, he was like, just take one of them basketball scholarships you got. And I'm like, no, none of these schools have engineering. They're all liberal arts. He's like, all right, that's stupid, but okay.
So he just kind of let you go, let you make your own mistakes.
Which I'm grateful for, because I have learned a lot in my mistakes. You know, I've bumped my head a lot, more than I care to talk about, but I've learned to listen.
Amen.
I've
I
learned
want
to
to
listen.
thank you so much. Oh, this has been wonderful. I appreciate you coming on here. Tell the people again one more time, where can they
Oh,
find you?
Instagram, Vonne Williams _ don't die broke. Oh, and on Facebook, Vonne Williams, your business and money coach. That's my business page. I'm just Vonne Williams everywhere else. And VonneWilliams.com is my website, and info@VonneWilliams.com is the email address if you have questions.
Well, thank you so much. As always, you out there, you all know the routine. Hopefully you know the routine. Where you are is not where you have to be. Your past does not define you. You defined you. So heal, transform, and pursue you.